Red Dead Redemption 2 is Rockstar's latest foray into the Western genre, an area previously focused on in 2010's Red Dead Redemption. It's an open world game set in 1899 following the Dutch Van der Linde gang before its downfall prior to the events of the previously mentioned Redemption. You control Arthur Morgan, a member of the gang who witnesses the events the gang conducts firsthand and also views the breakdown of the gang from the inside. The game is, simply put, a masterpiece. Vast, detailed and immersive, in which you feel very much grounded within it. Much of the praise I hold towards the game goes towards its grounded realism. Guns have to be manually cocked before firing them in a shootout, the loot from dead enemies must be manually looted, and meat taken from animals you've killed must be cooked before being eaten. You can even season it for good measure. While it is certainly an achievement in terms of game design, I mean, no other game has so much detail and things going on in it that it ships with 2 fucking discs in the current year. It also raises a particular question given how much there is actually going on in the game. Does Red Dead Redemption 2 have too much content? I will try to consider whether the game can be seen as too involved. In this case, too involved means if it detracts from the game's overall enjoyment in favour of portraying realism. No story beats will be considered to avoid spoilers, nor will glitches be accounted for. If an area of the game's enjoyment is compromised for the sake of realism or believability, then it will be criticised as too involved, as the enjoyment of the game and what the developer intended for the mechanic to do is compromised as it is overshadowed by the reliance on realism in the world. Firstly, the guns. While I am a man who likes tinkering with guns and firearms in games, the sheer maintenance they take in Red Dead Redemption 2 did actually annoy me to a pretty severe degree. I found myself spending money every single day and every single hour on gun oil just to make sure all the guns I had on my person were clean. Not a massive amount of money, it's not like it is extortionate, but it's also not really that's the point. There is also the idea that you could be in the middle of nowhere, take a tumble off a cliff, potentially, accidents happen, and your gun might become a bit worn as a result. Therefore, the only logical course of action is to keep gun oil on you at all times, or if you ran out, head to a gunsmith. However, chances are you're going to end up at a point where you are miles away from any gunsmith or general shop in order to pick up oil, potentially also before heading into a gunfight, or in the middle of one. This compromised my enjoyment of the game as I found myself questioning why I had to consistently oil the gun so much that I stepped out of the game and was like, why is it making me do this? I understand it is believable and definitely realistic. Don't let your guns become jammed, folks. However, if I'm playing a video game, then I don't want to have to constantly be maintaining my guns. Once or twice, maybe, in order to boost them, but not as a standard. The fact that Arthur will only reload the specific amount of bullets he inserts before you aim or fire again also caught me out in gunfights on more than one occasion. While this is definitely believable, the fact that I wasn't immediately blown away by any enemies while being caught out by the reloading fuck-up made me think that realism was only implemented in places. You could argue that liberties need to be taken for the game to stay entertaining, but if one incident in the same circumstance occurs and another doesn't, even though both are realistic, I would have to assume that this is contradictory and ultimately detracts from the game's enjoyment. I can hear the comments telling me to get good right now, but I have played this game for a significant amount of hours and still found these things ridiculous, therefore they are worthy of critique. On another point, Arthur himself must also be kept well nourished to avoid becoming underweight, though not too much to avoid piling on the pounds. Again, realistic and believable. Arthur doesn't seem like the kind of person who would survive for months at a time without eating something. But are you seriously going to kill me quicker in a fight because I forgot to eat my lunch once or twice? Fuck me, I have enough trouble remembering my lunch in real life. Never mind a game. The idea that fast travel will only unlock after you've upgraded Arthur's lodging is also pretty fucking annoying. And I didn't find this out until very recently when I actually started contributing to the camp's ledger, and I don't remember any notifications coming up to tell me that this is an option for travelling in the game. So I was reduced to bonding with every horse I could find to level 4. Riding across the plains, hunting and fighting other gangs and them killing me, and taking my legendary bear pelt because fast travel was never established to be a thing in this game until recently. That's not even hyperbole. That really happened. Fuck you, O'Driscoll. Fuck you. Eventually the charm of the world wears off, and I started longing for a faster option to traverse the planet before my perfect deer pelts went to the flies. And again, the game doesn't explicitly tell you this, and it is one of the biggest sources of frustration with the game. Therefore, it should be criticised as favouring realism over functionality and fun. Who knows, you might enjoy riding across the plains every single time. But don't tell me that fast travel isn't an incredibly convenient way to travel across the world. A couple of things that I'm willing to give a pass are the elements. The weather does have an effect on Arthur regardless if it's really warm or if it's really cold and snowy. When moving through the snow in the first mission of this game, you evidently move a little bit slower through the snow as opposed to the open ground when you leave the area later. While this is believable, does it compromise the game's enjoyment? Well, while I would have liked to have been able to move a bit faster, there's nothing really in this mission that requires you to move quickly. The first gunfight is quite stationary, and the only time you actually have to move fast is on a horse, where you escape from a pack of wolves at the end of the mission. But the snow doesn't actually have an impact in the scene, so there's no overall consequence due to the snow. Fun is not compromised, therefore I give this a pass. If there's something to take away here, evidently there's a lot going on in this game, which is both a blessing and a curse. From my own experience, I never really felt rewarded after oiling my gun, or eating lunch, or seasoning my fucking food, because if I remember to do any of these things, there's about 4 other things I forgot to do that decided to dick me over for a bit. Overall, quite frustrating, but this game is still incredible. I just think that there's so much going on in it that it seems over-encumbered at times. Respect to Rockstar for crafting such a massive game, but if there's something to take away again, it's that bigger isn't always better. I already give it props because it's a single player game in 2019 that doesn't have fucking microtransactions. Can we please stop putting microtransactions into single player games? Please. I think that's all I've got time for. Yes, I know I'm cutting a lot out of this, but since this is my first attempt at a project like this, I figured it's good to do baby steps before jumping off the high rise. If you liked it, give it a like and maybe subscribe if you're feeling really generous. If you like video analysis like this, and want me to do more in my luxurious Scottish growl, then leave me a comment telling me what you thought of Red Dead Redemption 2 or anything else you think I'd like to discuss. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.